Okay, titled this movie by the date of its upload. Okay, and then the rest of the title is News Update: Gang Stalking Learning Disabled Woman. Okay, and automatically put in the description of this YouTube video the subject matter pertaining to what this YouTube video, the subject matter of this YouTube video is Learning Disabled Woman gives update pertaining to what I have been doing for the last week, 2 weeks, preparing to move. Okay, in order to inform my any viewers of mine that that's where I've been. Okay, now what I'm doing right now, my name is Leslie Williams and I am in San Diego, California. I am a target victim and activist concerning the criminal expeditions of what is known as organized stalking, which can also be termed as gang stalking. Now, I'm in San Diego and I live in La Jolla, and where I am currently hiking out at is in La Jolla, and I've been hiking here for 15 full months. I am not involved in any illegal or criminal activity whatsoever. I live my life in an extremely conservative way, a very prudent way. Basically what I'm trying to just tell you is that I mind my own business everywhere I go, and that I'm not involved in any illegal or criminal activity whatsoever. I am a target victim and activist concerning the criminal expeditions of what is known as organized stalking, which can also be termed as gang stalking. Now, for the last, I'd say probably anywhere between the last year, I have uploaded a lot of videos that haven't even been titled yet because of current events that have been literally compromising my schedule so detrimentally to where I had to take advantage of just being able to have limited computer availability to just upload the videos, let alone review them concerning what the subject matter was about per video. Now, some of that was my fault, but in a way it really wasn't, because of the simple fact, just bear with me for a second, just because of the simple fact that when I made the videos, like at this location, I was under time constraints as well. And so I'd be doing things here, you know, doing what I needed to do to start for the day, attending to current events, attending to attending to exposing current events and recent events pertaining to me being a gang stalking target. And so basically what I would do, like when I was in the middle of doing things and preparing my morning and, you know, to get up and leave for the day, I would think to myself, I better make a video pertaining to this, and then I would just turn the video camera on and start making videos, and then just talk about the event, and then not just sit back and think to myself, okay, well, maybe you should have stopped and just titled it first. If you knew the way that I have been, how my schedule has been so compromised, you would understand that is just how things turned out. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I am preparing to move. Just bear with me and you'll understand why I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Part of the organized stalking and gang stalking expedition, part of the things that us organized stalking and gang stalking targeted individuals put up with is in reference to what is happening to us as a result of being a gang stalking target, is that the perpetrators who are managing this criminality go out of their way to make sure that we are mentally attentive to what they're doing on a daily basis. Literally. And I'm going to give you just a couple examples pertaining to that. Like where I'm at right now, okay? Let me just take a puff off my cigarette really fast. This is going to be a good video, so I hope and pray you stay with it. Now, I know it's not very appealing watching a woman smoke. And I am actually starting to cut back on cigarettes. I went from smoking 12 a day to like 8 a day. And so I'm doing pretty good when it comes to that. And I hope you can see me all right, because it's kind of early in the morning right now. It's about 7 o'clock. And, okay. Now, the subject matter, and a part of the subject matter pertaining to this particular video is to just help you understand that part of the reason why some of my videos were not titled by me before I made them, and that way so I can make a list and say, okay, this video number, this file number on this video card is dedicated to this specific subject matter, was because I made videos on the fly sometimes, and I just thought to myself, I better make a video about this, and I just went ahead and picked up the video camera and made a video about it, and then I got into sub details, And then the video got so congested with so many details, it was, and then I'd stop the video and start doing stuff, you know, that I had to do for the day, either picking up and leaving or taking care of hiking area business. And then I'd make another video, and by the time I got to all that, I'd forget what the first video was about, in total honesty. Now, but let me tell you another reason why I had not been very good at scheduling the subject matter of my videos, writing them down pertaining to what they are so I could title them appropriately as soon as they were uploaded, was because part of the methodologies of what is happening to us in reference to what the perpetrators do is that they literally compromise our mental freedom intentionally with complete malice aforethought and criminal intent. Basically what I'm trying to say is that they'll literally put people up on the sidewalk of where I'm at right now, and when they ride their bikes by or jog by, they'll literally say gang stalk. Excuse me. And they also set up some filthy animals. Now, I'm a Christian woman, and I'm not very comfortable with describing human beings like that, but if you knew what has happened to me, if you knew what I've been putting up with, and if you knew what these filthy bums, okay, have been doing for the last 15 months in reference to where I'm living at, I think that you would pretty much say that's a pretty apropos description in reference to me describing them in those terms. They harass me on a daily basis in one form or another. Now, there's a term that's on the internet that you can go to right now and type in the following and then cross-reference it to either organized stalking or gang stalking. It's called psychic driving. Okay. Now, psychic driving and gang stalking, because a lot of people will call, a lot of targeted individuals have even, let me just feed this little itty bitty bird. Okay, now, part of what organized stalking and gang stalking is nothing but a very well thought out campaign that is intentionally, okay, in reference to the tactics and methods that are brought about against us organized gang stalking targets. It's a campaign that is intentionally designed to basically just, I guess you could call it mental torture, but it's designed to make the targeted individual feel raped mentally, psychologically, emotionally. It's also a campaign that's intentionally designed to attempt to blur the boundaries between me, the target, any target, including me, and the boundaries of the criminals that are doing these things towards us and the individuals they use. Okay, and a lot of that comes from how our privacy is invaded, and then how the privacy is used to harass us and to intentionally harass us. Okay, case in point, we all as Americans and as citizens, no matter what country we're in, we cherish our privacy, because our privacy is what helps, well, in a lot of ways it helps protect us. It helps us feel like we're in control of our lives. It helps us feel safe. For instance, go to YouTube right now and type in cell phone hacking and stalking. You'll see two women being covered on a morning show. You know, like Good Morning America, even though it's not Good Morning America, but it's that type of show. You'll see two women being covered on this morning show, and they're talking about how their daughter's cell phone was hacked, and then eventually her and her husband's cell phone was hacked. Hold on one second. And then about how the individuals who hacked into their cell phone, hang on just one more second. See, basically what these perpetrators did was they hacked into these to this family's cell phone, and were able to use the cell phone as a camera, as a GPS locator, okay, and as a microphone by using the speaker to listen to what the family was doing in their home. They also hacked into the phone in order to be able to figure out what numbers were on their call list. My phone is hacked. When I called the San Diego Police Department in early July 2013, 13 to get their physical address, okay, so I could go down there. And then once I went down there finally on July 24th, 2013, and caught gang stalking happening towards me and around me in their headquarters, I then, on later date, when I went to go check my call list, because I was trying to call a radio show, I had noticed that that call I made to the San Diego Police Department headquarters is missing from my phone. Now, I suspect maybe part of the reason why they did that was because they knew I was eventually going to go down there, and they wanted to employ the same exact method towards me there once I got there that is being employed around me along all my routes. So they did not want it on my calls feature list that I had called them before I went down there, in order so they could deny that. Well, how were we supposed to know you were coming to us? Okay. So, and I'm telling you the truth about that. Now, in reference to our privacy, what they were in fact, you know what, just go to YouTube and watch that YouTube video. You'll find it by going to YouTube and typing in cell phone hacking and stalking. Now, and you'll see two women being covered on a morning show. It's one of the first videos that come up. Now, I'm here to tell you that what is happening and what those women are describing are literal gang stalking methods. Literally. Okay? I'll just give you one tidbit of information pertaining to how it is. In that morning show video that you'll be watching, all you got to do is notice how the persons who hacked into their cell phone were able to listen to the conversations that the victims were having in their home. And as a result of the camera being hacked into, they were able to periodically see what the victims were doing in their home. And then the perpetrators who were doing this to them would send them electronic voice messages in order to leave messages to state about what was observed in the victim's home as a result of the cell phone being hacked. They also sent them text messages along the same lines to basically text message them about what was observed by the perpetrators as a result of them hacking into the victim's phone. So they were basically regurgitating what was seen and or heard as a result of the victim's phone being hacked to the victims. So basically they were letting the victims know that they were being seen by transmitting text messages and electronic voice messages, regurgitating what was observed. That is a literal gang stalking method. So when us gang stalking targets, whenever we are out and about in the community, on occasion they will put people around us and have these people regurgitate what we did in the privacy of our own home. Literally. And that is done to make us feel threatened, because sometimes the type of people they're using they look gangish, they look punkish, they look like they might be involved in criminal activity or a combination of all three. That's done to put, now can you imagine a woman or even a man feeling threatened concerning that? Okay, now you can go to Google right now and type in the direct conversation method and gang stalking. Okay, cell phone hacking and gang stalking, cell phone tracking and gang stalking, and or organized stalking. The best thing to do is to research it by both of those descriptions. Okay, now when a person's, and then our computer activity is monitored as well, and they will look at what we're doing in our email files, our blogs, our YouTube videos, anything we do online, and they'll literally place people around us to repeat segments that have to do with the theme of the subject matter of what we were doing online. Okay, intentionally put people around us to repeat it, to let us know that our privacy is being monitored while they're doing other behavior that is intentionally to let the target know that it's because of gang stalking. Like, in other words, they might get around me and say gang stalk, and then 2 seconds later they'll say, does Leslie expect to get paid tomorrow? Or does Leslie really think that she's going to keep hiking where she's hiking at? Yeah, after they repeat the personal information. These are, and most of the individuals that they're using are just different dupe dummies in the community that have been used. They're told what to say. They probably are not even aware that what they're repeating around me is something that came from a result of my privacy being violated. But since, what you got to understand here, in gang stalking, there's a lot of associated crimes that happen to us, like being brutally assaulted by one person on one day, and then and while that person is assaulting me, before, during, or after, they will do something to intentionally let me know that it's being done because of gang stalking. In other words, I want you to listen to this and you'll understand what I mean. This is two individuals appearing on a sidewalk that I am on practically every day. Okay? One of the individuals who played a role in this event has harassed me on anywhere between 8 and 11 separate occasions. Do you hear these guys say gang stalk together? Do you hear them say gang stalking? No, hold on a minute. They both say gang stalk together, then one says gang stalking, and then that same one says gang of stalking, I'm going to F you up. Now this is done in order to let me know intentionally that what is happening to me is because of gang stalking, because basically what they're doing is saying gang stalking as they're harassing me. And they're intentionally letting me know that the harassment and the threat is because, and the whole event is because of gang stalking. Oh, hold on, my finger hit the button. Hold on 1 second. I had it brought up, and then when I went to go move the phone to bring it closer to a camera microphone, I accidentally hit the wrong button. Okay, now, the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because in organized stalking and gang stalking, the whole goal is for the perpetrators, the manager or managers of this expedition, is to put the targeted individual of the crime in a victimized mindset and keep them in it by constantly reminding the target that they're being gang stalked any way they can, through multiple different methods and tactics, by having people repeat personal information about you, around you, that you can only know pertaining to things you did in the privacy of your home, your computer, your cell phone, even conversations you might have had with somebody the day before, like at a bus stop, or if I went down to the police department and attempted to make a police report, which I've been denied my right to every single time I've talked to any San Diego police officer. What they'll basically do is recreate through verbal theatrics and physical theatrics around the target individual. They will represent towards the target individual certain things every day, non-stop, everywhere they go, to make sure that the target individual realizes mentally, as a result of what they either see or hear, that they're being gang stalked. Excuse me. Now you just basically heard it. Now, the filthy little freaked out bums that they're using 100 feet away are the worst of the worst. You know, you might think to yourself, well, why don't Miss Williams get an apartment? Well, if I got an apartment right now, like let's just say today, I decide to get up and I decide to go to the Department of Housing and Urban Development and possibly get a list of possible rentals. I don't even know if they do that here in San Diego. Or if I buy a newspaper, okay, or if I search online for affordable housing, rooms to rent, anything. Anything. No matter what avenue I used in order to attempt to find a room to rent, an apartment, a studio apartment, whatever, even a homeless shelter. Just hear me out, because this is going to blow your mind, literally. Whatever I would do in reference to, if it was a studio apartment, a room for rent, a regular apartment, sharing an apartment with a person, sharing a room with a person, the individuals that are managing this expedition towards me and every other targeted individual will collude with the individual landlords, property owners, roommates, fellow tenants in an apartment building. They will collude with them, okay, through creative techniques that they use that are already all over the internet to make sure that I would not be able to keep that apartment, while they would make sure that I was harassed every single day at the apartment complex, even harassed by the roommate, okay, harassed by fellow tenants, and they would also break into the apartment, steal things, replace them later, move things around, destroy things, destroy property, even go as far as poisoning our food. Now, to give you an in-your-face example of this, all you got to do is, for one, research what I just stated at Google and YouTube. But to give you an in-your-face immediate example, just go to Google and type in stalked, drugged, and raped, is it happening here in San Antonio? Now let me just give you a story about that particular news event. My name is Leslie Williams. I'm in San Diego, California. Those two women who are being interviewed, because that's actually a news broadcast, but the best thing to do to review the news broadcast, hold on, let this truck go by real fast. Right now, go to Google and type in the following way. Stalked, drugged, and, hang on. Stalked, space, drugged, space, stalked, space, is it happening here in San Antonio? And what you'll do as a result of hitting enter, once you type that in at Google search, you will then come up with the Ken 5 news article pertaining to the Ken 5 news station covering those two women who were stalked, drugged, and raped. Okay. Also in that news broadcast is a Mr. John Hall. He's a Dr. John Hall. Now, the reason why I told you to Google it before YouTubing it is because if you type that in and research how Ken 5 put that on the internet, you will see at Google the YouTube video of it at Google, and you will also see the news article concerning it, and you will see the transcript. The best thing to do is to go to it if you feel inclined to meticulously research this, which I hope you do, is you can print that out, that transcript. And the reason why I'm telling you to do that is because once you print out the transcript, look at the date that news broadcast was broadcasted on. I believe, if I remember correctly, February 17, 2010. That's right, baby cakes, and I got it printed out in my backpack right now. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because of this. That news broadcast was it was made on February 17, 2010. It might have been updated a little bit, I don't know. But the point of the matter is that what these two women are saying in this news broadcast are statements that they're literally saying in the news broadcast that you can even look at the transcript as well to see that it was actual dialogue that they shared in reference to how Ken 5 was acknowledging. The transcripts literally show what the women were saying, which means that an actual news station put this transcript at Google, on Google, showing that these are the facts pertaining to what these women stated on this date. Outside of the fact that you can listen to them say it as well at YouTube by going to YouTube and typing in stalked, drugged, and raped. Isn't it happening here in San Antonio? So you might be thinking to yourself, what is she trying to, what is she trying to point out? This is what I'm trying to point out. Back in 2006, 7, and 8, maybe even a little bit of 9, I was composing a timeline in another state pertaining to what had happened to me in the last 2 previous apartments that I had during those calendar years. I was composing a timeline in different Yahoo accounts and Gmail accounts. So I could, when I had the available time, I could sit down on one day and write out a portion of the timeline. Then the next day I could do the same thing. And then if I couldn't get back to it until maybe a week later, I would at that time, then I would continue writing the timeline and then compose them and synthesize the whole entire timeline together. But before I planned on doing that, I had planned on taking my name out by composing and synthesizing the entire timeline together and then copying and pasting it into Google Documents and then renaming my name to Jane Doe. So my name would not be out there for people to see, because I knew that some of the statements in the timeline would be completely misunderstood. That's right. I was doing it for preservation and self-protection measures because I did not have enough proof yet pertaining to why some of the things were happening to me that were happening to me, and they could be taken the wrong way, and therefore the wrong light of me being viewed in the wrong light could come about and be anchored in my viewers' minds. I wanted them to see the truth about what had happened to me. So until I could prove particular subject matters pertaining to part of what happened to me, I wanted to be able to go back. I wanted to be able to put Jane Doe's name in it, okay, while isolating the tactics and methods that had been used against me. What the perpetrators did was they went into my accounts right before the timeline was somewhat completed, and they copied and they synthesized the timeline together and posted it into one of my blog accounts that I was already using for other matters. That's right. And I didn't notice it until way after the fact. And then current events were distracting me from taking the blog out and then getting back to the timeline to be attentive to it, to finish it, and then do it the way I wanted it to. So I thought to myself, this is bullshit. So I just left it the way it was. But in that blog, it literally states that the individuals and the perpetrators had entered my home as I was sleeping and turned on all the lights. Remember that. They entered my apartment when I was sleeping and turned on all the lights. Okay? Now, in additional blogs, and maybe I think maybe even in the same timeline, okay, I also mentioned about how they were entering my apartment and stealing things and then replacing them on a later date. And right now in my backpack, I got a printed out email of an email that was made by me out here in San Diego when I was out here in San Diego between 1 and 38 days. That's right. Now, it was made at the Point Loma Library. I made several emails. I sent them to a few of them to a prosecutor in another state and to Amnesty International. That's right. And I made and sent these emails at the Point Loma Library, where I was being gang stalked on a feverish scale. Every time that I went in there, I was gang stalked along every single one of my routes in 2006 when I was out here between 1 and 38 days, and in the Point Loma Library, including by Point Loma Library staff, patrons, and security. But back in 2006, I did not have a name for the crime that was happening to me, but I was making statements in these emails as they were being composed about particular things that were happening to me in the library. Those statements described gang stalking methods. And in one of those emails, I described that I flat out stated that property does not disappear out of your backpack in your home and then suddenly reappear all of a sudden on a later date. Now, why am I telling you this? Each one of those two separate women in the stalked, drugged, and raped news broadcast, stalked, drugged, and raped is it happening here in San Antonio, the first woman said they'd broken into her home and did a bunch of numerous things, taking appliances apart, taking her safe apart, and she also stated how they entered her home and turned on all the lights. The same thing that was written by me in a timeline composed in my Yahoo accounts and Gmail accounts. The ones that they synthesized and put together by infiltrating my accounts and then synthesizing the timeline together and posting it on the internet. The second woman stated that they had stole some jewelry of hers, okay, in this news broadcast, and then replaced it at a later date in her home. Two separate women were explaining things that were done to them in 2010 that were already written by me, the one pertaining to the lights being turned on in my home by a party that entered my apartment as I was sleeping, so when I woke up I would notice it. They literally entered my apartment as I was sleeping and opened up all the doors and turned on all the lights in every room in my apartment. Now, when I had my apartments every night, I made sure every single light was turned off, and most of the time I made sure all the doors were closed, and the only thing I had on occasion was a nightlight for my cat. That's right. Now, the first woman in the stalked, drugged, and raped is happening here in San Antonio flat out states that they entered her home and turned on her lights, amongst other things. The second woman stated that they stole a bracelet and then returned it at a later date. The 2006 email that I wrote in the Point Loma Library stated that they had entered my apartment and stole things out of my backpack and then replaced them at a later date, okay, which were noticed by me all of a sudden. Now, those statements were made by me in particular electronic communication platforms way before this 2010 broadcast occurred. Also, there was another victim that was on Coast to Coast AM radio show on Valentine's Day 2013. His name is Mike Fitzhugh-Bell. He wrote a book. He was being covered on that night's Coast to Coast AM radio show because he was an organized stalking, gang stalking target. He was on the show with a Roger Tulsis, who is a private investigator in Los Angeles who owns the company Bug Sweep. Now, Mike Fitzhugh-Bell, who wrote a book called The Invisible Crime, which I have bought as a result of knowing about it from hearing, as a result of me listening to the Coast to Coast radio show the night he was on it. He talked about the entire night. He talked about how he was being subject to organized stalking, which is also called gang stalking, along all of his routes in California. He also talked about his book. So I not only taped the show, but I also bought the book. In the book that was published in 2011, he wrote about how these individuals entered his home, they entered his apartment, and took the blinds off his window and threw them on the floor. This book wasn't published until 2011. I had already wrote a blog in 2010 pertaining to that's what they did in my last apartment. I literally wrote a blog stating that they entered my apartment and took the blinds off the window and threw them on the floor. And as it occurred, I made notations about it in my tape recorder, which I still have to this date. And tape recorders are, the memory in them, in reference to each audio file, is saved by date and time. So that's 3 targets right there alone that have identical things happening to them that is happening to me. That's right, and you also need to pay attention to what John Hall is exposing all over the internet. Alright, so I'm getting ready to go to close down this particular video. What I'm basically trying to tell you, today's fellow American citizens, is that our privacy is violated intentionally by them, combined with how the rest and every area of our lives are completely destroyed. And they are completely destroyed in order for the criminals to blur the boundaries between us and them, to put us in a victimized mindset, and then to make us feel that our lives are no longer our own. That's right, to make us feel helpless about it, to literally form mental relationships with us pertaining to the worst kind of criminals that you can think of. Now, since they isolate targets of these kinds of crimes in them, and we are kept from any uncorrupted legal assistance, any uncorrupted law enforcement investigations, any uncorrupted district attorney's office investigations, we are literally kept in a mental victimization every day, because the majority of the crimes that happen to us, well, I wouldn't say the majority of the crimes, but the majority of the everyday harassment we endure every single day has got to do with mental harassment. Okay? While we're living in the physical effects of what happened to us, the staged homelessness, covertly created and covertly managed. Okay? The assaults that happened to us. Okay? How we're even raped, and how we can be raped. And then how the perpetrators within the system will claim that we can't take care of ourselves, and so therefore the state better take syndicated probate control of us. This is done for racketeering purposes, insurance fraud, and human trafficking in an isolated environment they own. Organized crime, syndicated run group homes. That's why the homelessness is created to begin with. And all this mental victimization, okay, and the reinforcement of it is done to make our minds understand that our lives and our bodies and our minds are no longer our own. It's basically to kill who we are, to break us down like a horse or a dog. Literally. So once they get a hold of us, we will know that what is going to happen to us, we have no power over it. Now, I'm in San Diego, California. My name is Leslie Williams. I do not know at all in any way, at the acquaintance level, the personal level, the friendship level, or the intimate level, any of the individuals at all that are managing this expedition against me. Okay? There's a weird bird out here. But I will say this to you today. On several occasions, anywhere between 17 and 21 separate occasions, I have requested through the San Diego Police Department to make a police report concerning the factual realities that I am a victim of this crime, and they keep telling me no each and every time. Hold on a second, please. So every single day I have to almost live like an animal. Now, I'm not saying that for theatric purposes or for sympathy purposes. I'm telling you the truth. Every morning I wake up in psychological shock. Okay? That's right. That's right. And it's not too long after I wake up that I'm reminded that I'm a victim of this crime as a result of the filthy animals that they set up to hike out 100 feet away from me, who yell gang stalk and other kinds of crazy bullshit that they engage in towards me. And when I tell you another thing, they'll never admit it, but I will tell you this. I know for a fact that the people who are managing them are intensely involved in the prior victimizations that have happened to me as a result of some of the things that I'm hearing them say. And I will never trust the courts in reference to me regurgitating it, because I already know this is organized crime in the system. But I will tell you this, the individuals, I can look you straight in the eye and tell you this today. The individuals that they have set up to hike out 100 feet away from me are being directly managed by the individuals who are directly responsible for some of the worst crimes that have literally ever happened to me. And I know it as a result of some of the things that they have intentionally said for me to hear. Have I heard them at other places? Let me give you a case in point real fast about what I mean. This particular example can be found on the internet in reference to what they did to this one girl. They had this girl raped, and they shoved a sock in her mouth as they raped her. Okay? Then what they did on subsequent days after the rape, they got along her routes and threw socks along her routes everywhere she went, including even using the business community. Example, when she would, like, say, for instance, go into a Walmart, they would have business employees walk up to her with a package of socks and say to her, "Did you forget these socks?" Because the whole goal for them was to not only victimize her in one of the worst ways by raping her and shoving socks in her mouth while they did it, but then getting along all of her routes in order to remind her about it by throwing socks along her routes everywhere she went, using different people in the community to do it. Now, each person that was told to do that towards her, around her, concerning her, is connected to the individuals that had her raped. Or the individuals who told those individuals were told to do so by the individuals who had her raped. In other words, it fell down through the chain of command. So this is what I mean. Prior victimizations are intentionally, the target is intentionally made to be reminded about prior victimizations that have happened to them. Now, the only way that a woman could be reminded about being raped as a result of socks being shoved in her mouth, even up to a year afterwards, by a complete stranger, is that if that stranger was directed by a person who is being directed by another person, or the person who did it, who told that person to do it, is directly connected to the criminals who did it. In other words, that personal information about the rape and how she was being reminded about it by using anybody that was used, that person who was used was told to do it by somebody, and that person, okay, knows the person who literally brought the rape about. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. The things that these individuals have said from 100 feet away, okay, directly correlate to past victimizations. And I'm never going to open up my mouth until I can prove other things, obviously, because if I open up my mouth, the filthy animals in the system will say, "Do you see how crazy Miss Williams is? Now she believes this guy who can prove that he was in other states or wherever else or in other towns when she's claiming these other victimizations happened to her, so how could he know about it?" Because this shit is being managed by a syndicate. And basically what a syndicate will do in these kinds of crimes is they will literally even keep track and record of the victimizations that they perpetrated against you, so they can set up these kinds of harassments for you to endure while they're using strangers to do it. Perfect, complete strangers, anybody that they can use. So the point I'm trying to make is that these filthy animals, who I do not know at all, are just being used, but they're being used by members who have been responsible for prior victimizations. Do you understand what I'm telling you? If these filthy bums can ever be caught, okay, and admit to what they did, they can admit to who got them to do it. And those people are directly connected to some of the worst crime victimizations that have happened to me that words can barely describe. Okay? Now, I don't know anybody in San Diego County at all. Not one person. Because I made a choice when I came back out here on August 8, 2011 to not get involved. What are you doing? What do you got? Come here. What do you got? Come here. Hang on a second. Come here. I can't have that squirrely piece of plastic. Anyways, it was one of my neighborhood squirrels. I made a choice when I came back out here not to get myself involved with anybody at all, because I have learned through prior experience pertaining to what happened to me in another state as a result of me being a gang stalking target in that state. Okay? So I had to make sure, let me just feed my birds real fast. I had to make sure that I never gave these little filthy criminal whores here in San Diego any plausible deniability in reference to anybody claiming that they knew this because of that, or these people are claiming that I'm crazy because I might be sharing with somebody that I'm being gang stalked, because these people will literally go as far as what is known as intimate infiltration. Okay? So basically what I'm trying to do is tell you that I know for a fact, hold on, I know for an undisputable fact, literally, that the filthy animals that they set up to hike out 100 feet away are are directly being managed by a person who is directly connected to prior victimizations that have happened to me. And you would not believe what has happened to me. Now, in a nutshell, since August 8, 2011, the day I came back to San Diego for the first time since I was out here between 1 and 38 days in 2006, I have not introduced myself to one person except for San Diego police officers, certain campus police officers, certain, and that's it. And that's it. And a person down at the prosecutor's office. Okay? That's it. Period. Not to one person by name. That's right. I haven't told anybody that I'm a gang stalking target at all. At all. Not one person except through my videos, and those are titled Learning Disabled Woman. So, the point I'm trying to make is that I did not want anybody to be able to say, Leslie's claiming she's being gang stalked. Leslie's claiming she's being gang stalked. This person over here, do you see that woman walking down by the grocery store? She's claiming she's being gang stalked. She's crazy. That's right. That's right. Because what I wanted to be able to do was prove the methodologies and the tactics and methods that they were going to utilize around me, and then say, how do these people know who I am to gang stalk me, and then fold that back onto prior saved emails, blogs, YouTube videos, and other evidence. Basically, which is what I've done. I have literally caught the gang stalking expedition of me. That is, every crime that has happened to me has been caught and can be proven undisputably. Literally. I do what I do to inform, to expose the truth. Gang stalking and organized stalking is directly connected to human trafficking. Sexual servitude rings, prostitution rings, land co-opting, property co-opting, mortgage co-opting, trust fund liquidation, identity theft. You would not believe. Non-consensual human experimentation. That's all over the internet. So, how can victims like us ever get any help when this is organized crime in the system? At the federal, state, and local level. How? I'm not involved in any illegal or criminal activity whatsoever. I don't even drink. I don't even drink. I'm not mentally ill. I'm not a threat to myself or others, and I do not. And I know how to take care of myself. Obviously, I'd already be dead if I didn't, or I would be exploited if I didn't. The living situation I'm living in right now was directly connected to gang stalking. They literally stole my rent that was mailed certified mail return receipt. That's right, and that receipt is still in the cloud today. That's right. That's right. So when I tell you that if I went to go get an apartment tomorrow, it would be taken away from me and all the money would be lost. You better believe it. You better believe it would. Because part of the way they take the syndicated probate control is to try to claim the target can't take care of themselves because they're homeless and won't get an apartment. Even though no police officer will investigate the fact that I'm being gang stalked at apartment buildings. That landlords and property owners are covertly brought on board to cooperate in the eviction of a target. And if they're not comfortable with that route to create the eviction, they'll get a postal employee to steal the rent. Just Google what I'm saying, you'll see I'm telling you the truth. They're schemes. They're schemes for racketeering, insurance fraud, and human trafficking. It's why the homelessness is created. This is the 4th hiking area I've been gang stalked to. The 4th. And I'm preparing to move now, and so that's why you're not going to see a lot of videos of mine being uploaded in the next month. Because you would not believe the property I've accumulated in the last 16 months. Winter clothes, summer clothes, camping gear, backup stuff, miscellaneous stuff, printouts, paper printouts from computers. Just massive amount of stuff. And the way I'm going to be moving, too, is strategic. So, once I move and get all these things set up, and then I'm going to make some videos pertaining to how I moved and what was involved in the moving, and you will understand why it took so long to move. And we're going to see if anything happens at this current hiking area that I've been at for 16 full months. My name is Leslie Williams. I'm in San Diego, California. I made this video to inform, to expose to you the truth about what's happening to me. I'm just an innocent person. I bother no one. I do nothing wrong. This crime is happening to me. And so if you want to just ask yourself, why won't the San Diego police make a police report? Is it because of those 2006 emails? Point Loma Library staff? Security? I do appreciate listening. I gotta go, and I'm not very good at closing up my videos, so I'm just gonna say goodbye. And the only thing I hope and pray that you can say a prayer for me. Alright, thank you, and have a nice day.